All right, got about 10 minutes here left in the show. Promise some Cincinnati Reds conversation. And we're going to be talking about the Cincinnati Reds here to close out today's show. Reds are off tonight. And then they have the Athletics for 3 games on the road. Let me just pull up this schedule here on the fly so I can confirm exactly what the remaining slate looks like for the Cincinnati Reds. But the game last night, really impressive that you're able to win that game, right? Pivetta was going. You knew it was going to be a pitcher's duel. You were just hoping Andrew Abbott could keep you in the game, and that's exactly what he did. Andrew Abbott is my favorite player on this team. He is unbelievable. He is a dog, and he just goes out there and competes every single time he takes the hill, and he's an innings eater as well, as he got you 8 innings of work last night in the game. And he doesn't throw the hardest, obviously, but he knows how to pitch, and he knows how to compete, and he knows how to win, even when he doesn't have his best stuff. Now, his stuff was pretty good last night, but there's been so many times throughout his career and throughout this season where he hasn't had his best stuff, and he still puts Cincinnati in a position to win the game. But for the much of the game, it was 1-0. Kind of felt like it was going to be a 1-0 game. You were going to lose. And you go into the off day, and but we're not talking about the Cincinnati Reds right now if you lose the game last night. It's just kind of the reality, because it kind of feels like a season killer if you lose the game last night. But as Cowboy alluded to on the broadcast, they're like a bunch of cockroaches. No matter what you do to this team, they just keep coming back, and they will not die. And that's what you've seen throughout the course of the past couple of months. Despite the fact we've seen lots of frustrating baseball be played after the All-Star break, the Reds are just hanging around. Now, the Mets, of course, there's 2 sides to that coin. The Mets are letting the Reds hang around. All right, the Reds are 2 games over 500, and the Mets are just kind of in a plummet. Mets, by the way, national TV game tonight against the Philadelphia Phillies on Fox. So if you're not watching football, definitely keep an eye on that. That's certainly a significant game. Giants are off tonight as well. You're tied with the Giants right now, 2 games behind the Mets. But, if you win this series against the A's, then it's just divisional opponents the rest of the way. And the Reds, of course, have struggled within the division for quite some time, not just, this year, but several years. And, that's fitting that you just have the division to finish out the season, and you'll see what you can do. 3 more games. So the road trip, of course, started with the Padres series. You got 3 more on the West Coast with the A's. Have to win that series, non-negotiable. Can't win 1, 2 at minimum. You would like a sweep, but 2 at minimum has to be done. 3 against St. Louis. You probably got to win 2 of those 3, right? So then you have 3 against St. Louis, 4 at home against the Cubs, 3 against the Pirates, and then 3 against the Brewers. Do you have to win every single series? I don't think so. I don't think you need to win every single one. You obviously can't get swept, but I think if you're in a spot where you're, what is this on the 5? 3, 6, 9, 10, 13, 16 games left. I think if you win 10 of them, you're probably in. To be honest with you, if you go 10-6 over these next 16 games, you are probably in, and that certainly is very exciting. And one thing I do want to mention here is Tito Francona, right? This is why you got him, right? This is, you can say what you want about Tito. Oh, it's old school baseball. He's bunting too much. He doesn't care at all about analytics. You can say all those things. That's fine. And for the record, I would like my manager to lean towards using his eyeballs and using his brain when making decisions, right? Now, Tito sometimes just doesn't even know what an analytic is, which probably this day and age of baseball isn't the best thing, but I would err on the side of old school. Now, bunting, there's been some situations throughout the season where he's bunting in some weird spots, and it's got me shaking my head a little bit. But you brought Tito Francona in for these moments, right? I always have said, if the Reds can get into the postseason, then you're really going to see the magic of Terry Francona. Well, you're in the postseason right now. That's basically what it is. You got 16 games left, and you're 2 games back of the playoffs. These next 16 games is basically postseason baseball, and you got about half on the road, and you got about half at home, and you got a whole lot of divisional opponents ahead of you. I think you're going to see Tito Francona really show what he can do and win you a couple of these games. I said 10-6 gets you in. That's what my gut says at this point, just kind of on the fly. I think 10-6 over these next 16 gets you in. I think Tito's going to win you 1 or 2 of these games, just with a decision that he makes, a call that he makes, a bold decision that he makes, whether it be pulling a guy and putting somebody else in or letting a guy stay and letting him ride, a pinch hitter that he puts in, Andujar, right? Of course, yesterday comes in off the bench. I absolutely love watching that guy play. He comes in as a blue pit, but it's a clutch hit, brings home the winning run in that game. I think Terry Francona is really going to show some of that magic that he has over the course of the next couple of weeks, and we'll see. we'll see, because it's certainly very, very exciting for the Cincinnati Reds right now. And then you kind of look ahead a little bit, right? If the Reds make the playoffs, they're obviously going to be the 6th seed in the National League, the last seed, and that means they play the 3 seed in a 3-game series in the wild card round. And it's not locked in yet. It's not set in stone, but as you kind of look at the schedules, you look at the standings, you look where everybody's at, feels like that 3 seed is going to be the Los Angeles Dodgers. So if you get in, right, obviously we're ecstatic. If the Reds get in, it's awesome. We're in, September, October baseball here in Cincinnati. While the Bengals are playing, that would be awesome. But obviously it can be short-lived with a 3-game series against the Los Angeles Dodgers. We all saw what transpired late August when you went out there to L.A. All the games, by the way, would be on the road. When you went out to L.A. and you just got whipped for 3 straight games, not competitive whatsoever. So if you get there, there's a little bit of concern. I think the Reds much rather would play Philadelphia. Looks like they're probably going to get the 2. We'll see. But you'd play Philadelphia in the divisional round if you were able to get past the Los Angeles Dodgers. But that's obviously looking ahead. You're just trying to get into the postseason here at this point. But as I said yesterday on the show, my expectation coming into the year, it was very cut and dry. It's a success if you make the playoffs, and it is a failure if you don't. I don't care how you do it. I don't care how many games you win. I don't care if you're 500 and it gets you in, right? I don't care about any of that. It was just get in. If you get in, it's successful. And if you don't, it's a failure. It's very, obviously that's dramatic, but I think that's really just the reality of the situation for the Cincinnati Reds. And they have put themselves in a spot to continue to get our hopes up and play decent enough baseball. The pitching's there, right? The pitching is good enough to get you to the postseason. That's not the issue whatsoever. It's the bats. It's the offense. Again, even like throughout this Padres series, we're all over the moon about it. I mean, 2 runs yesterday, right? You won the second game of the series 4 runs. You lost the first game of the series 3 runs. You beat the Mets 3 runs, right? You beat the Mets 6 runs. You lose to the Mets 4 runs. So it's like the offense, obviously the offense showed up in a big way, those 2 losses against the Blue Jays, but they're just kind of hanging around that 3-4 runs a game, which certainly if you do that in the playoffs against the Dodgers, that's not going to be enough. But even as you look at the rest of their schedule, maybe that can get you by against the Athletics. But when you're playing the Cubbies and you're playing the Brewers and the Cardinals and Pirates have just had success against you this year, that's just the reality of the situation. The offense is going to have to be a lot better for the Cincinnati Reds, and we'll see if they can do it. But the fact we're sitting here talking about baseball on September 11th and the Reds have a real shot, that certainly is very, very intriguing. Obviously, there will be a ton of Reds coverage here at the channel. That's really what Chatterbox Sports was built off of. Nick Kirby's got you covered. Trace Fowler's got you covered. The boys got you covered with the pregame show. Just all types of Reds coverage here at the channel. And obviously, if the Reds are in a spot where they're competing, we're going to be talking about them here on the show as well.